So I have the great honor of being with Joe Kennedy here, but you call yourself Average Joe.
Average Joe.
Why is that?
Well, I really wanted it to be a little below Average Joe, but it didn't roll off the tongue so good. I am just an average guy. I had a rough background as a kid. I served in the United States Marine Corps for 20 years. I coached high school football. I mean, nothing remarkable, just average guy. And next thing you know, I got a world stage. And
what happened? How did that actually happen?
yeah, so I received the Lord, finally totally surrendered to Him after I got married, after I got out of the Marine Corps. So this is when I'm 37 years old. I get married to my childhood sweetheart, and
Beautiful.
She's a good Christian girl. I'm this heathen. I was failing. I threw myself on the altar and I said, God, if you give me my wife, I'll give you my life. And He was like, deal. So next thing I know, he said, I want you to coach football, high school football. And I was like, God, I don't know anything about football.
Really?
Yeah, nothing. So God just said, I want you to help train these young men, help them become better young men. And so that was easy. That was the easy part for me. And so I always gave prayer thanks after every single game, win or lose. For 8 years I did this on the football field.
Right.
Sometimes the team came out, sometimes they didn't. Nobody cared. It was just something that I always did.
And why was it a conviction for you that was important?
So I was watching, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Facing the Giants. So when God asked me to coach, I didn't want to. I didn't want to coach. I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to just have my quiet little life with my family. And then, so I went to the interview, and that evening, Facing the Giants came on. And it was like God reached through the TV,
Wow.
grabbed me by my heart, threw me to the ground, and I heard my calling for the first time. I don't know if that's a normal thing, but I first heard my calling from God, and I surrendered. I was like, God, I told you I'd give you my life if you gave me my wife, and this is what He's called me to do, is to go coach. And so right there on my living room floor, I just started bawling my eyes out, and I said, God, I'm all in. I will give the glory after every game. They did it in the movie, so I kind of just stole it from
Wow.
there. And
How cool is that?
yeah, I mean, God shows up when you need Him to, for sure.
So you were praying,
I was praying, yeah.
and not everybody liked it.
They did. Everybody did. For 8 years, it was a great thing that we did. And in our 8th year, somebody saw what we were doing, gave a compliment. They started an investigation, and then one person from outside comes in and says, "Oh, you can't do that in a public school." And I was like, "Yeah, you can." And that's where we started fighting, me and the school district. And it went to the Supreme Court twice. It took 8 years. It cost almost $7 million to fight for my right just to be able to do a 15-second prayer alone on a football field.
And why did you not give up?
There's so many reasons. I think the most basic one is I was an American before I became a Christian. And the Constitution means something to me.
Right.
And if I give my word to God, I'm not going to break that. And there's a right and a wrong with everything. And I always tell my football players, you do what's right. Even if it's not popular, no matter what the cost is, you do what's right. Here's my prime example that I get to be a leader for these guys. Sure, I could have gave in and just done it somewhere else, but it was a principle of it. And so I had to stand up for what's right and show my guys that things come at a cost. Even doing the right thing could come at a cost. And I lost everything. I lost my job. I lost 8 years. I put my family through, these legal battles. But it was absolutely 100% worth it, because when God calls you to stand and to serve, you do it. I mean, what do you want? The alternative and be like the guy in the fish, Jonah? Yeah, you can run if you want, but it's so much easier just to stand up and fight for what you believe in.
And finally you won.
I finally won.
Wow.
After 8 years, it took me 9 football seasons to get back, and I did, and now I go around the country, all around the world, and I talked about freedom of speech, freedom of our expression, and the freedom of our religion that we have, and really stand up for God and for our country.
What do you think this victory means for America and for the world?
really shows that America's coming back to what our roots were. We set up our country as a Christian nation, and a long time we just let little pieces fall off here and there, and it's been eroded over these past 200 years. Well, now where you see the full circle coming back, and we get to be the people on this world stage of standing up for God and saying that, hey, if you're not with God, man, I don't want to know what your future holds. So,
Now, finally, what would you want to say to people who are in a similar battle, perhaps in another nation, under another constitution, and they are really fighting for the right to pray, to believe, to stand up for Jesus? What's your encouragement for them?
So that's a simple one. I even got it tattooed on my arm. It's 2 Timothy 4:7, and it's fight the good fight, finish the race, and remain faithful. Nowhere in there does it say that we have to win. God has that victory. Only thing we have to do is show up for it. And if God can use somebody insignificant like me, let him use you and stand up and fight for what you believe in.
Thank you so much, Sean.
Absolutely.
Really
Thank you,
appreciate it. Thank you.